Good evening, everyone. Welcome here. We are in Kyalami. We are here for the ACC Drive Endurance Championship. I'm Cristiano Romano, and for the next 3.5 hours, I'll be your voice for the, as I said, 4th week of the Endurance Series. Now we are in Kyalami, famous track for endurance, especially since it hosted several races for the International GT Championship in real life with the Kyalami 9 hours, which happens, if I remember correctly, in October, November, just after Suzuka. But for this week, Kyalami 3 hours, so the third of the usual, and with many teams that may go in a single driver lineup. Now, in terms of the standings that we can see in the Endurance Series here, we got, oh, I have to refresh, obviously, because obviously it's funny. In first place, we've got CMRC Endurance by Barminia, followed by WePlay, Live4 Race, Bora Motorsport Racing, and Hoplite Esports team. 3,200 points for CMRC with WePlay at 2,000, so already a huge chunk of an advantage for them. In GT3, because this is a multi-class championship, whilst in GT4, it comes to the first top 15, with Collie Racing Team, 4th Club, Sunset Outrun in top 3, followed by Apex Perto Racing Team and Bushels Racing Team in 5th place. First place being at 1,362 points, with 4th Club following with 1,200, actually just short of 1,300 points. Now the results for the last race that happened in the series, in the GT3 category. Let's go here. We got the Belgium 4.5 hours standings with DXT Motorsport, the won the race in front of CMRC Endurance by Barminia, followed by Datmus Kusen, Dynamic Motorsport by Kalinic, and CMRC, the sister team, in a 1.04. With a lot that has happened during those 4.5 hours. 21 were the GT3 teams that ended, or rather participated into the race, but only 16 effectively concluded the race, or rather were categorized for a points finish. In GT4 it is slightly different, with the standings now coming through. Kalinic Racing Team won the race in front of Apex Predators Racing Team, Kalala Racing, North Racing, and Dragon Racing Team, with only 2 cars in the lead lap, and with Apex Predator Racing Team practically on the very edge of being lapped by the 402, which also has a good way in their championship. Now back into the standings, just to give you something to look at, because the free practice is about to end, and let's see if everything is working. Well, everything is not really working, unfortunately, for a technical issue, but that will be resolved in the meantime. You shouldn't really know. Okay, honestly, I can't really fool you. I think it's going to be quite visible, but rest assured, I'm trying to resolve it in the background while also doing cameras and while also doing commentary, so it's going to be actually difficult, but anyway, I'll try to do everything in the same time. Now, to talk about the calendar, which is here, the calendar for the season number 19, the endurance round, being, as I said, in Kyalami for this round. Next round is going to be Misano, then Watkins Glen, Imola, Brands Hatch, Bathurst, Barcelona, Silverstone, and Nürburgring in the Endurance Series. Then you can also see the Sprint Championship, the Duo Cup, the GT4, and the Porsche Cup, with the BMW M2 in being alternated with each other. And if you are wondering what the winners are going to have in this championship, or even in the others, for the Endurance Series, which is the last in this column, P1 in the standings receives 10 lifetime licenses for ACC Drive, which is a perfect tool for your endurance races. Then we got also prizes for the GT4 series, with Paddock Legends giving P1 in the standings a 50 euros coupon, and a raffle for whoever participates in the GT4 series with 25 euros and 10 euros coupon for their store. Go Setup's GT3 Sprint Series as a 3-month sub for whoever arrives in first and a raffle for whoever is in the top 50. 5 monthly sub are available, brought to you by Go Setups. And in the Sync Mesh GT3 Series, first place receives an M Pro LFM Edition setup by Sync Mesh, and a raffle for everyone. 2 M2X will be given to everyone that participates in the Sync Mesh GT3 Series. Now back into our qualifying, because it is happening just now, so I have to put everything in place, and everything is effectively put in place, except the tower. Apologies. Can you exist? And the answer is yes, it does exist. So we got, as you can see, a slight issue in the background, simply because apparently the delivery tool is not really cooperating. It's taking way too much to do everything. It's been 20 minutes already. So probably it's an issue on my connection, so apologies for this slight miscalculation on my hand. But theoretically for the next 20 minutes it should be resolved. As we go with Kevin Brown being followed, that's 1-1-2, Lucas Trane. In the other CMRC team by Barminia, this is the Pro AM fielded car. And then there is a Ferrari behind. But everyone is packed in this field. Now we go into our inside camera. The Aston Martin 104, the V8. Advantage into turn 1, you brake around the 80 meters mark over the curb on the inside. Not too much, otherwise you bottom up. Second, and then third with fourth corner here. All this sequence, a great sequence that you have to nail correctly. Although those weren't turn 1, turn 2, but those were turn 2 and turn 3 for reasons. And then into sunset, this long right-hander. We tend to brake on the red marker on the right. I think that was a slightly wide for Brown. A couple of times are into the tower, but just don't look at them because they are picked up from the pit lane start. Into the S's, left and the right, again over the curb both times. And then you have to go into the hairpin here, the left-hander hairpin. You have to brake basically blind because you don't really have a braking point. It's not perfectly visible, your braking point. You have to pick something up. You have the walls on the right, you have the marker on the left, but it's not really so clean always, even because it's uphill. And then right-hander just over the curb. Try to go on the outside as much as possible because the track limits are wide. Then into the turn of mistakes, because the yellow curb on the right is going to hit you if you are not careful, and hit you hard by sending you into the wall on the left. And then over the straight line finish, Kevin Brown set 40.3, being followed by Lucas Trane in the 40.5. Now so far everything is smooth. I don't see any yellow flag, which is great so far. Mattia Max in the Alpha Racing team, currently in third in the 102. Now, as I was saying, turn 1 is actually the kink on the back straight, or the main straight, which is a turn of all time. Tobias Haug sets a 6th time, with Sasha Glatter now getting into 4th for Firefly Racing. Kevin Brown is still setting a purple lap, currently 1/10 below, currently 40.3. There are a couple of GT4s in the field. Well, with a couple I mean a good chunk. There are, I can count, roughly 15. Quickly counting, really. See, so it's from 22nd to 34th, so it's exactly 12 cars on track in the... No, apologies, it's a bit more, it's 13. Because 2 GT3s are in the middle of the way. Francesco Livac is now in the lead with a 50.1 in the 409 Mercedes. James Williams follows in the Kalala Racing Aston Martin, as Kevin Brown set another purple lap. This time it's a 40.0 for the CMRC Endurance by Barminia, as Orin Megan's for Infinix Racing sets the fourth, now fifth fastest time, with Pascal Giraud setting fifth. Sebastian Zender is now in second in the other CMRC Endurance by Barmina, the 101, which is now second, 3 times away from the sister car, as Evgeny Gamov third for him. Now fourth, as Sasha Glatter gets second place in the 40.365, only 2 milliseconds in front of Zenner, and the Bentley is now in second. You can see the GT4 car in 22nd place overall, and the first in the GT4 field. And also setting a purple lap. But remember that they also have to keep an eye on the mirror, because if a GT3 comes through, well, they will lose time, that's certain. But for now, Livraghi for Sunset Outrun, the Italian is not really slowing down. If anything, he's actually going strong. And there was a contact, though there was an incident actually in qualifying. We will see what happened between Silverio and Winch, as Livraghi sets a purple lap, and that's a 49.8 for the Mercedes-Benz, and this was the incident that just took place. I already have a replay. I'm in our qualifying session, so there was a Ginetta there. I think I know what happened. Look at that. Oh, that's the that's the Ginetta just in the middle of the road, and that's Silverio just flying out. Let's have a look from the wing. You can see the Apex Predator Racing team, number 412, waits for the GT3s, starts again, but there is an Audi coming through. They have to make a quick fault, which unfortunately was the wrong one in any case, because they were in the middle of the way, so possibly that's a penalty for Winch. So the contacts in qualifying, so it seems like it's going to be an eventful race. The Oli line is now in 13th. Didn't put an advantage on the 41.0 set in lap number 2. As you can see here, Sebastian Zenner 3 attempts, now 2 below himself. He's just tied, I think, with Brown. This could be the pole up for us. I'm not entirely sure, as he overtakes a Ginetta. That's a yellow Ginetta, and that's I couldn't see the number. I think it was the 415, maybe. As the 101 here overtakes a Camaro and gets the final corner into Inge, turn 16, and that's not pole, but it's an improvement of 40.1 for Zenner. And Kevin Brown is improving by 0.0, so I'm not even sure if he is improving at this point. Possibly he is. Can't say for certain. In GT4, nobody's actually setting a quick lap, except Christopher Hoffman, but he's still at the very start of the lap, as Kevin Brown aborted his possible quick lap. Oli line goes over the line to put the car in 11th, 40.6 for the Carbon Motorsport Mustang. And Alexander Zjagin for Pepega Motorsport into the last corner, turn 16. As there is the 103 showing yellow flags. But in any case, Alexander Zjagin is now in 14th, overtaking Marcel Noë and Christian Marquez. 14th place for the Ferrari with a 40.7, nearly colliding with the Mustang. As the Prem Rossolini, apologies, for TX Racing in the Ginetta 410. It was 410, not 415 early on, with a 58.8 in lap number 2. 51.4 was set up. That for 51.4 will be just enough for 30th place. As Michael Mies for Calix Racing Team is also coming over the line. From 29th to 27th overall, which translates into 5th in class. As Matthew Yates now is in pole for Apex Predator Racing in a 4.02 with a 49.3 in front of Liveraghi that's set a 49.7. So at this point, qualifying run is pretty much a one-way road. Luca Strane is apparently improving and getting in the middle of the way. Was a 4.13. Let's have another look at that. Because that was... look at that, the Aston Martin comes through. And also the Aston Martin closes the inside into the 112's line. And so... possibly that's impeding for the Aston Martin. Now into the pits. And this is not going to be an improvement for Luca Strane now in 9th. He was improving by 2 tenths. And with only 8 minutes to go, this could actually be impactful. Now Ori Meggans in the Infelix Ferrari. 41.8 was the last and best lap set. Although I can see there a 40.6. Apologies, a 40.6 in fact was the fastest lap for Ori Megas. 41.8 was the last lap as it comes across the line with a 40.5. 5 positions gained with only a 10th. That's how close it is. As Megas was early on in 13th place. Now sits in 8th with a 40.5. Next objective could be Sven Freitag with a 40.490. As Kevin Brown is setting another quick lap. And this could be a front row lockup for CMRC Endurance by Barminia. Kevin Brown, that could become the first and perhaps the only car into the 39 seconds. And he does improve. And he makes it into the 39s with a 39.797, and he's currently the only, and as I said, perhaps he will remain the only car into the 39s, with Zenner 3.5 tenths behind. Brown is absolutely butchering the field, as Luca Strane in the 3rd CMRC Endurance is here in 10th place. So I'm also looking at the GT4 field. I don't see any major improvement, although there is one happening. Christopher Hoffman. Oh, that's slightly wide for Trane, but that's enough to invalidate the lap. So he will have to go through the main straight once more without a valid lap time. Christopher Hoffman now 29th on the grid overall. That's 7th in class. For Creme de la Course in the 4.01, he set a 50.6 as he goes over Cheetah, turn 15. He was improving, but I think it just... oh, that's off-track. In any case, that's off-track, so that's not going to be a valid lap time. Christian Marquez in the 1.08 Aston Martin, he sets the lap now. That's going to be an improvement for him, and that's a 40.6. 14th place overall for the Aston Martin driver, as Luca Strane once more goes over the line. And that's another off track. And it was another improvement. It's been 3 laps that Strane improved, and for one reason or another, he couldn't deliver the lap time in all 3 cases. Yves Heim for Dragon Racing Team, 3 tenths below the 50.5 set in lap number 2. That's going to be an improvement from 28th to 27th, 50.3. in the middle of Julians and Miss. So Kevin Brown, realistically, will remain in the pits? Or will he go out once more? As there are some lights popping up on Zentner's name at times, but once more he's not improving. He was improving early on, but I think he just went wide into the hairpin, into look up, and he lost the time there. Pascal Giraud was also improving up to the S's, and now he's not anymore. So even for him, great lap time. Sasha Glitter is just now improving in the Bentley for Firefly Racing. This could be a jump from 5th to 4th for Glatter, or maybe even further. What will it be? It's 4th place, 3:05, only 5 milliseconds away from Ho. So he goes into the second row, but not into the podium positions, let's say. Alexander also en route to improve. There are a few cars that are improving the lap time. There is Pascal Giraud over the line, 7th place for the freelancer. Up to 4 places, so from 11th to 7th. As there was another car improving. I can't find any more. Possibly are not improving anymore. As Matthew Hughes is improving. 49.2 was the last lap for the Ginetta team. This could become another pole lap for them. They are already in a good position. Already 5 temps, well, nearly 5 temps in front of Liveraghi. With the majority of the GT4 field in the pits. Kevin Brown is possibly remaining in the pits, knowing that 39.7 is not going to be beaten in this session. Sasha Glatter just a bit wide into Cheetah. And now into turn 16. Can it be an improvement? It is another improvement, and this time it is 3rd place. Just enough for Zenner to remain in 2nd place, but that was close. That was extremely close. 15 milliseconds only between the two. No, 25 milliseconds only between the two. It's a bit too close, possibly, for Zenner's likeness, as Benjamin Sachse was improving a lot, but I think it just went wide into turn 1. As Matthew Hughes didn't commit to the lap, so he is now sitting in the curbs of pit entry. And as it stands, not many are improving. Actually, nobody's improving. Well, someone is improving. That's Tom Winch in the Ginetta 412 for Apex Predator Racing. So the question is, can he make it into the top 5 in the GT4 class? He needs to get into 27th. Which is about half a second in front as the Bentley goes straight, and as it stands, Winch is improving by 6 temps, so he can make it into the top 5. What will it be for Winch from 30th in the grid to possibly 26th overall? And this is an improvement for him. It is a major improvement. 25th place, so he will start from 4th in class. Major improvement for him in the Ginetta. As few are still trying to improve, one of the names is once more Luca Strane. CLC Pro Am team, once more improving. But this time he has to deliver because the time is over. So will he make it this time? Or will he stay 11th? We know he has the pace, but unfortunately he just improves by a single position, 40.490. And this is just at the edge of the top 10. It could have been way better for him. As Eve's aim for Dragon is in team also improving. So will it be enough to get into the top 5? Doesn't need much. He only needs 30 milliseconds. So this lap really counts for him, as the majority of the field already set the lap times. So not much else to expect, unless Tobias Hogg does something at the very tail end of the session. So the Ginetta comes over the line. 28th place at the moment, and it will remain 28th, as it doesn't improve. There is an improvement here for Saxe, but not in terms of position. And that's qualifying over for us. And then into the grid we go. Let's see if... I think it goes through. So, in the standings, this is a brief recap of what's at stake at the moment. Simmercy Endurance in first, just followed by We Play in the GT3 field. We are probably expecting, without any major surprise, another Simmercy win. But never say never, as everything can be different in the race. Obviously, in the GT4 field also, everything is still to be said. So I'm just noticing now that AMD is doing its funny things, as in editing my settings for no apparent reason. I love it every time when it happens, as I'm now also showing you the GT4 results. Let me just grab this thing here. Voila. Now everything should be smooth once more, and deliveries should be on. Exactly, it is. Fantastic stuff. Everything is going through, and someone is missing. Someone is missing. We can safely say that. Let's go now into live. So we lost the 101. It's not there anymore. We lost the 101 for some reasons. And also, I can't see my OBS preview anymore, which is an issue in itself. Because otherwise I can't see anything. And with... Oh no, this is a big issue, honestly. I don't know how to resolve this. Let me just try something here. If I do this... Aha! Sometimes my genius is... simply doesn't know boundaries. Yeah, okay, now everything works again. Fantastic stuff. Now into the grid we go. With this is a Pro Series, apologies. To pick this up. So Dominic Cypress in the 104 is now leading the race. And the 101 is not there anymore, as you can see. 101 is not in the race anymore, as Preferred Racing in the 107 follows in third. TMX in third place for Alpha Racing Team follows in fourth, with Tobias Hogg in the Carbon Motorsport Mustang 106. Evgeny Gamov for Speed Stars in 6th place. The Aston Martin with Pascal Giraud in the freelancer Aston Martin, being followed by Sven Freitag in the Pit Speed Racing Porsche 109. Henri Megens follows in 8th place, or rather 9th now in the grid, but that's a bit confusing, as Lucas Trane, Simmercy Pro Am Team, 10th place in the grid. Anatoly Krytin will follow in the 111 Team 32, with Stefan Behrens 119 Ferrari for Infinix Racing. Olli Line in Carbon Motorsport Mustang, 12th place, as Christian Marquez is in 14th place for Desmo Racing. Alexander Zviagin, Pega Motorsport, follows in 15th, with Benjamin Sachse in the Colorworks Racing Team Porsche. It's another car that we lost then, because this is the GT3 Pro Brothers, so another car has been lost, as Miguel Silverio is in 17th, or rather 18th, with LK Motorsport. It's a bit confusing now, since two cars are missing. Mesut Edin for Starter Motorsport follows behind, with Rodiaga in the 117 Aston Martin and Andrea Miatto in the 105 Tatum Restek completes the GT3 field. Apex Predator Racing Team 22nd place, with Francesco Livraghi in 23rd for Sunset Outrun. BS Longeberg in the Khalid Racing Team Ginetta, as Tobias Korn follows in the other Apex Predator Racing Team. This is a Mercedes. Okay, someone more is... I think something happened to the server, because certain cars are now missing, as the Kyalami is in 26th here, and this should be at this point the Dragon Racing Team, because everything is a bit confusing since a couple of cars are missing. Kyalami Racing Team, 29th place for them in the 413 Aston Martin, as Christopher Hoffman for Creme de la Course follows in the 401 Mustang, with the following cars the very tail end of the grid. But this is the start of our 3 hours race, with Kevin Brown now leading the pack into turn 1, and Sasha Glatter effectively behind, or now alongside. And green light, and away we go. It was a nice start by everyone apparently, but the Bentley had a better run, as you can see on the right side already taking initiative here. On the outside it tries, can he make it into turn 2? And the answer is not yet, not really. Kevin Brown remains at the top of the field. Sasha Grater follows behind, with Mattia Max in third, Tobias Hogg following, and Pascal Giraud in 5th place. And it's Evgeny Gamov behind Tobias Hogg. Look at this here. He's on the outside, he's trying to take advantage of the situation, but unfortunately he nearly loses out the position. Number 4, this could have been actually a loss of position for Tobias Hogg. Some contacts in the way, but Gamo remains in 6th, Sven Freitag in 7th, Lucas Trane in 8th place, And I'm trying to find the other C car, which is here in 18th place only. 101 started all the way down from last in the field. Is already in 18th. Long way to go for them, but luckily they are back in the race. As I said, Kevin Brown still leads the way. Sasha Glatter follows behind. And Mattia Max is in third at the moment. No major incidents so far, which is great. In GT4 it's slightly different as the battle for second place goes on. Tobias Lundberg in second place now in front of Francesco Livraghi in third. Also Christopher. Oh, that's a lunge into the inside. Oh, there's a contact there. And that's the Italian off track. It was a very late maneuver from Lundberg. As Hoffman is now also in fourth place in class after overtaking the Ginetta behind. As Tom Winch here for Apex Predator Racing Team. Now certain liveries aren't appearing anyway, but this time I'm sure I have them all. In this case. As also, my OBS started working again, so that's fantastic news. Kevin Brown now still in first place. These first 5 minutes have been quite eventful in terms of issues on my end. I will be honest on that. Oh, there is possibly some contact here between Marcel No and Alexander Zvagin. This could be side by side into an impossible corner, and that's going to be into the Ferrari's favor as the 116 manages to take it on top, but it's not over yet. That's for 11th place. That's the Porsche actually going wide. And by doing so, they've lost 1 place on the Audi. That's Miguel Silverio in 13th now. So the Porsche is back because of the slipstream in 12th place. But it's not over yet, and this could be a free wide situation with the Mustang on the left side, with the Audi trying to get into the inside of turn 2, and it's still side by side into the main first sector complex. There isn't enough space, but the Audi will create the space if it's not available. Silverio still battling, and this is once more a free wide, but this time into Sunset. Can the Mustang take the most out of this? Free wide into Sunset can't work. It actually works. Impossible and unknown reasons. I try to say the 2 words at the same time. This worked, and Audi is still in front, and it makes it up in 12th place. That's Miguel Silverio managing to take the free wide into an opportunity, and he makes it into 12th place. And there is also Sebastian Zender going for a move, possibly. Not yet. Remember, Zender started from the very last places. Or rather, literally from the last place. And 19th place. 19 places already gained so far. As you can see, side by side between the Mustang and the Porsche. And this is a huge opportunity for Zender to make it into position number 14. With the Mustang that effectively couldn't really defend. Sven Freitag practically bump drafting the car in front. That's Evgeny Gamov in 6th place, with Sven Freitag in 7th. But they still are one after the other in single file. From Gamov all the way down to Kritin in 10th. Although just in front you could see the Aston Martin trying a move. That was Pascal Giraud and Tobias Haug battling for 4th. Gamov lost some time now. Oh, that's Freitag also going a bit wide. A bit wide. This could be a huge opportunity for Trane to make it from 8th to 7th. He's now in 8th also thanks to a couple of cars that couldn't start from their effective starting position. But Trane He's trying his hardest to make it in front of the Porsche. As also we've got a battle for fourth, Tobias Haug and Pascal Giraud. As also Zender made it in front of Marcel No. And that's now the Porsche in 14th place. Miguel Silverio still remains in 12th, as there is a possible battle there. That's Andrea Miatto in the 105, Tatum Restek and Jeremy Morris in 18th place. That's another position for Aston Martin, for the Italian team now in position number 17. Pascal Giraud against the best car in the straight line. Which car will have it between the two? And that's Tobias Haug trying to defend on the outside. There isn't much space available for the two of them, and there is already a back marker in the middle. That's a GT4, that's a Mercedes. They have to make up their mind. It's a free wide into turn 4, and that's actually the Aston Martin on the inside and losing the rear a tiny bit. And that was also the Mustang going slightly on the grass by about 2 centimeters, but enough to lose some time, although they don't lose the position, and the Aston Martin remains behind. Pascal Giraud is still in 5th. Tobias Haug still in 4th, although 1 second behind Max because of the argy-bargy with the car behind. That was also Marcel No overtaking a car. That was Oli Line trying to get the overtake done actually on or Marcel No, and that's another contact. Williams Adin. I think that was another contact. Or maybe it was just on the limit and they didn't hit each other, but it was certainly contact between Oli Line and Marcel No, and this was the reason for it. So we go into the replay. So I will try to, at this point you can see the livery, so I think I just have to start the game once more. So it was a contact, yeah, it was a contact for the Mustang that was on the outside. Try to get best out the situation. Kevin Brown sets a purple lap once more. 40.5 for Kevin Brown. As Miguel Silverio was just behind the MG GT4 in the middle of the way. The Audi defense, that's LK Motorsport on the inside. Can they remain where they are? Not really. Oh yes, actually they are going to stay in 13th at the moment. So we're still defending against Marcel No, and that is for 14th place, but this could also become a bit of a window to get an even better placement. This Mustang, you can see, tries on the outside. That's Oli Line once more trying to get a position down on the Porsche, and once again they can't really perform. We remain behind the 911 as the GT3 Colorworks racing team keeps the car in 14th place. Pascal Giraud extremely close to Tobias Haug. As Jeremy Morris loses the position on Benjamin Schachse for 18th. And once again, Pascal Giraud can't overtake. And Gamov is really using this situation as a great advantage to stay close to them. Now can Haug keep the train behind? Now we go into this wonderful right-hander into Sunset, and then into Clubhouse, turn 7. For now the train keeps on leaving. In GT4, it's been quite quiet so far. As Matthew Hughes still leads in front of Tobias Lungeberg, Christopher Hoffman, James Julians and Francesco Livraghi in 25th now overall, which translates into 4th in class after what happened into turn number 2 early on. Oh, that's extremely wide for Tobias Hogg. Into the gravel also, and that's Aston Martin going into the right hand side, into the inside he goes, and he couldn't make the position. He still remains. Oh, there is a contact. Oh, that's Pascal Giraud off. That's Giraud off, and that was Gamow fitting the Frenchman in the 103. Contact for him as Freytag also loses the position on Lucas Strane. That's possibly a penalty that will be given to the Aston Martin driver, as we can see the replay of the incident that just happened. As we are into the crocodiles and then into Cheetah side by side. Then you can see the Aston Martin hitting them and putting the car sideways in the middle of the racetrack. Car which is now in 7th place. No, apologies, it's not in 7th place, it's in 10th. Why the onboard set me up in Freytag's car. I will take it. Oh, that's the rear. Not really cooperating. That's also Evgeny Gamov very close to Tobias Hogg. And when I've got a moment, I think I will just try to resolve the livery issue, because it's really infuriating so far, because they are there. I can see them in the replay, I just can't see them in the race, which is a bit of an issue. Orin Megan's now in 29th after a very early pit stop. Oli Line also very close here. Not even close, actually side by side with Marcel No. This is still the battle for 13th. It has been going on for a good chunk. But still, he cannot overtake. Meanwhile, Evgeny Gamov still following very closely the car in front. That's Tobias Hogg now. It was Pascal Giraud early on, but Giraud, I don't think it's an issue anymore since he has been effectively taken out. Solly Line made a huge mistake apparently, and he lost the position on Andrea Miatto. So what happened there between the two? You can see from here. Oh, it was. Oh, I think it was the Mustang losing traction on exit. So if it comes to mind, it was also Marcel No losing a good chunk of positions. So another thing happened here. And this is the reason for the second loss of... Oh, that's the rear slipping off into the grass and then into the gravel. That's why the Porsche lost 3 places. Okay, Gamov remaining in 5th now. Lucas Strane is just behind. Now in 6th place, and Sven Freytag is following closely. There has been an incident, or 2 incidents. One carried off, and the other is off track. So what happened to the 114? I saw 2 distinct yellow flags, and then one car simply disappearing. And Ori Megens is back in the pits. This time, it's a return to garage. So it's very odd. What just happened to the 407 also? Apparently had an incident of some sort. suppose it is because of this. Yeah, it was the car number 114 that magically disappeared from my screen. And the 115 was also... Oh no, that's... apologies, that's Megan's that had yellow flags. So this is what happened to the two cars. To the 114 first, that's Miguel Silverio in the Audi for LK Motorsport Racing. Into... oh, that's a huge jump just into Cheetah rather. This is what happened to the 115. That's Ori Megan's in the Infinix Racing Ferrari, already struggling. Which then returned to the garage. Oh, that's why they went into the grass, into the gravel, into the barrier. That's a retirement for them. I'm pretty sure that could be a retirement for them. As Stefan Behrens is just behind Sven Freitag. We look at Strane. Second point free in front and also battling with Evgeny Gamov in the sea of GT4 cars. Okay, Trane get the position done on Gamov in front. Following GT4 into the Crocodiles, into 13 now. Struggling with the traffic is one of the main issues for these drivers. They have to take risks and to act in a safe manner. As also they... oh, Mr. in a yellow flag showing. So something happened to them. As Christopher Hoffman is battling for the podium. This is what happened to the 110, Mesut Aydin. It's the very same camera, so I suspect we already know what happened to the Strider Motorsport Ferrari. To the inside he goes, he taps the curb, gets sent to the gravel, and he loses 2 free positions because of that. As Hoffman in the Camaro, in the middle of the very battle we were following. It was for 5th, it still is for 5th actually. But Luca Strane, a bit aggressive on the 401 for obvious reasons. He is aggressive, as you can see, the 112. Directly behind the Aston Martin. This fight has been going on for several laps at this point. As 20 minutes are now passing. Now Sebastian Denner is now in 10th. Remember, he was starting from practically last on track. He's up 24 positions so far. He was starting in 34th, which is literally last place. In that sense, he made his way back into 10th, and his car was starting in 2nd. Last lap 41.6 for Zenner, but the best lap is a 40.7, and there are just 2 cars that were better than the 40.7 set by Zenner. Sasha Gratter in 2nd, and Kevin Brown in 1st place. As Speaking of sunset, sunset is approaching. You could see the sun directly in front of you. Last lap for Lucas Trane. Oh, there is another yellow flag. This time it is only line in the Carbo Motorsport Mustang. So what happened here to Carbo Motorsport Mustang? So they are going to overtake an Aston Martin. Oh, that's a tap. That's not the wall. It was extremely close, but it was not the wall for Oli Line. That now lost a place on Marcel No. And once again he has to look in front to see a Porsche. He's not really having fun with No. As every time he managed to overtake him, he once more had to see him. Christopher Hoffman on the other side of the field is just behind Tobias Lungeberg. It could be for second place in class, as Matty Hughes leads the way. The 406 stopped on track at the moment. And that's car into the wall, I think. That's car number 406 for Buchholz Racing Team. Into the SS. First part done, second part also done. No, never mind, he didn't complete the SS, he was launched into the barrier. So now the car is possibly, certainly is damaged, but I'm not sure if the suspension is also damaged or if it is only the front aero. I suspect the suspension is not really having a good time right now, but it doesn't pit, it remains out. And keeps on running. Smiato is still following Sviagin, although I'm not really sure for how much, since he's already side by side within the Aston Martin. Goes on the inside of turn 2 and he completes the overtake. Andrea Miato now in 12th place after starting 8 positions behind in 20th place. Lucas Trane, I think he ran out of tires, because now look at this, Train Freitag is just behind the CMRC Endurance Aston Martin. Last lap it was a 41.4 for Trane. Freitag's last lap was the best team lap, 41.1. You can see them in the bottom right corner. Still nothing changes here, with Freitag following Trane, 41.5 for both. Stefan Behrens actually is the car that managed to gain some time from this battle, as he is in 8th, set at 41.3. So this stands only 2 cars still able to set 40s. Those are Kevin Brown and Sasha Glatter, without any real surprise. As Christopher Hoffman also trying to get the overtake done on Tobias Lundberg for Kite Racing Team. And once again, this Camaro can't get through. Hoffman's last lap was a 51.2. Lundberg's last lap was a 51.6. So it's clear that the difference is there. But the raw pace to make an overtake is not really there yet. As the Camaro is struggling a tiny bit to make the overtake done on the Ginetta. Still in second. Hour and a half to go. And also the pit stops are possibly going to happen in the next 10 minutes, since there is a 48 minutes timer. But more likely first ones are going to happen in the next 20 minutes, not in the next 10. Not a major change of position so far. The only car that really jumps into my eye, well, the other cars, to be fair, because there are actually two cars that have made major improvements. Obviously, Sebastian Zenner now sitting in 9th place. Started 34th, and Andrea Miatto now in 12th, who started in 20th place. This is for the top 10. Pascal Giroux actually has to get back into 5th, where he was prior to his contact with Aston Martin in 5th at the moment, Evgeny Gamov. Although Gamov himself effectively took out Giraud. It was pretty obvious, that one. Not sure if it was a penalty or not, since it was a bit difficult to see from the rear wing only. This car here is certainly about to go places. It's in 11th at the moment. Christian Marquez makes an overtake on Jeremy Morris into turn 2. That's a 108 that gets 18th place. For now, Giraud 11th place. As he tries the overtake on Krutin. This could actually be the position lost for Krutin in team 32, as the Frenchman is now in 10th place, opposite the German driver. I said Frenchman to him for this whole time, apologies. But the German now sits in 10th place. Now the next objective, although I'm not really sure if it's going to be a possible objective, but Sebastian Zenner is in 9th at the moment, just behind Stefan Behrens, Sven Freitag, Lucas. Oh, there is a cut-off. Oh, that Miguel Silverio off once again. The 114 shows yellow flags. So what just happened here? This time it's into... It's into mineshaft. Into turn 12. No, but that's what happened. The car is gone. There's certainly a way to disappear. That was a nice magic trick. I'm not sure if it was done on purpose. Meanwhile, Marcel No loses the position on only line. That's 14th place now for the Mustang in Sunset. You can see the action once more as the color walks Porsche loses the position on the 118 Mustang. But it's possibly not over yet. As you can see, Marcel No and Ollie Line still battling hard for position into mineshaft. The Porsche for now remains behind. And cannot make the overtake count. Now, can he make it into turn 2? Solly Line and Marcel No go, both of them, over the main straight. But the Mustang remains in front in 14th place, and in 15th sits Marcel No as Miguel Silverio is back in the race. Unfortunately, the disconnection put the car in 20th place. This gave me a brief solution to put the liveries. Just quick, very quick left and back, because it's important to show what the community creates. Here you are. So back into the fight. Again, not really sure why it didn't put delivery early on. So I honestly think that the game simply refuses to cooperate at times for no apparent reason. So for now, Ollie Line still remains in... I suppose it's still 14th. The 118. Possibly as the temperature both in the air and in the track gets colder, some cars may make a faster lap time compared to the 40.7 that we had early on. There's a Porsche going a bit wide. Marcel No slightly in the grass. But for now, nothing changes here. Something that may change is a battle for 8th. As you can see here, the Infelix Racing now has a livery. Again, apologies for the little trouble at the beginning. There is a bit of a pack there. It's very Freytag, nearly colliding with the Mercedes AMG GT4 in front, with Speed Racing following, and that's Aston Martin Inter inside he goes. The 407 has to give way, and that's Zender actually making the overtake on Stefan Behrens all of a sudden, but with a little contact in the middle. So we'll see what happened early on with a replay when there is some time available, which is now the... Is it now the time for the overtake for Svein Freytag? I'm jumping from sentence to sentence, trying to cover everything. It's just that everything is happening at the very same time. Everything everywhere all at once. And Sven Freitag still behind, 42.5 in the last lap, 43.4 for Luca Strane. And Zenner is now in 8th, and the sister car is doing a mega job to defend the team position. But I don't think Freitag will be able to make an overtake here, or maybe I spoke too soon because there is a Mercedes in the middle of the way, and this could help massively the Porsche driver. As Strane had to slow down, it goes on the outside. Oh, that's extremely helpful for Zenner, who goes into the inside, and that's a team game made executed in a perfect manner from Trane, as Zenner is now in 7th place. With Luca Strane following in the list of overtaken cars, and the answer is yes, Zenner overtakes Freitag, but apologies, Trane, but by doing so, it's actually Freitag going back into position. That's a contact between the two, and that's Trane back in 8th place with Freitag back in 7th. The team game worked perfectly for Zenner, way less for Trane, who had the worst fate, as his teammate made him go wide, and also made him lose the place. Stefan Behrens now follows just behind. You can see the two incidents that happened early on. It was the 109 getting involved in the situation. This was the incident between the two. Look at this. You can see two CMRC cars. Zenner gets in front, but by doing so he pushes wide just a little bit the sister car, and then Sven Freitag takes the opportunity, throws Trane into the gravel. And now Trane has to defend against Behrens. The two cars are way closer than ever before. Behrens could actually have a chance to make it in front. As also the 119 was involved early on in a contact in this exact place. And this is what happened early on with Stefan Behrens in the Inflix Racing Ferrari and Sebastian Zenner in the CMRC Aston. This is when all the mayhem happened. And as you can see, oh, it was just bad luck for the Ferrari driver. But the 407 is off. Oh no, but it's just a yellow flag because it's giving away to others. I thought there was a crash for Tulio Santos in the 407 AMG GT4. This massively helped, obviously, Evgeny Gamov in the 121 Aston Martin. Sebastian Zenner now follows 4 seconds behind. Remember, this car was starting in 34th place. Sven Freitag now 7th place. Luca Strane behind. Stefan Behrens in 9th place. And look who is coming back. Pascal Giraud, the German in the Lightning McQueen livery. With 2 hours and 20 minutes to go. He was in 5th? Yes, he was in 5th early on. But that was a CMRC going quite wide to overtake the Ginetta. That's the Ginetta in the battle for 2nd place in GT4 class. Behrens is very close to another car which is very close is Andrea Miato, who makes the overtake here into the Crocodiles. Into the inside went, and that was a smooth overtake for the Italian driver that started the race in 20th place. Stefan Behrens still battling hard with Luca Strane. Now can Behrens overtake the German Pro-Am team? As if I'm thinking about it, and nothing happens. And there's another issue because now Pascal Giraud is there in the battle. Evgeny Gamov is also battling with Tobias Haug for Carbon Motorsport. So there was a brief moment where, on track at least, not much was happening, and that moment is, well, disappeared. Now a lot is happening on track, and with 2 hours and 20 minutes to go, still a lot can happen on track. As Pascal Giroux, the German driver, again, apologies for saying that he was French for this whole time. I just assumed he was French because of the very French name, I'll be honest. Loses some time in the S's. But also he lets balance breathe some air. Can say the same here. Tobias Löggeberg in this Calcio Racing team, Ginetta, although not with the same livery as always. Usually this team has a purple and Bordeaux livery, and now it's red and black. Completely different from the usual. It's just in front of the 401 Crème de la Course, the Camaro. And this is for second place in class. So it's not for nothing. It's 22nd overall, but the important thing is the class position. So they have to lap MG Depot that sends itself into the Shadow Realm and never to be seen again for a moment. And Evgeny Gamov now battling with Tobias Haug for 4th place. This could actually be an opportunity window to get into 3rd, because Mattia Max is not really far away. He is only 7 seconds up front with 2 hours to go. It's perfectly doable to make something out of this. Although I'm not sure if Gamov will be able to overtake. Mainly because the Mustang is a good car. Can't really say anything about it. But then look at the headlights. They oh, that's an answer to my question. So Gamov will not overtake Haug in next laps because he will pit. That's one way to make things interesting. And then this train is still on, with Sven Freitag being the train master, head of the cabins behind. Although Trane wants to become the engine that powers this train. But once more, Freitag defends well. Oh, never mind, maybe. He just lost the rear tires. I think something to the outside is a bit difficult, to say the least. Stefan Behrens follows. Pascal Giroux is just behind. A single mistake will cost him 2 positions. Or maybe 2 seconds behind. He is getting way closer than expected. Andrea Miato is just 2 seconds behind this train, and this is Lucas Trane entering inside of the hairpin into Lukop. Let's still side by side. Can the Aston clear Freitag in the pit stop racing Porsche, or will the German make it in front of him after so many laps? And the answer is not yet known, as the Porsche goes deep into the brakes, tries to take advantage of the line, and he does so. He actually remains in front of Lucas Trane, although there was a contact between the two. But the pit stop is here, and will any of them make contact with the car in front? No, they won't. They won't make contact. All 3 of them went into the pits. Although he might end up in front of them all, simply because it's in clean air. So we'll see the number, well, technically 103, but I think I can safely say that if I mention Giro with the car number 95, everyone will understand. Is as it stands in 4th place, obviously, because this car haven't pitted yet. This team hasn't pitted yet. Andrea Miatto is now barely behind the Giro. But I'm also a bit interested in this fight here. That was for 2nd in class. Oh, look at this! Sven Freitag made it through and is now in front of... Oh, apologies, Robin Schatzmüller is now in front of Sven Freitag. As the 109 lost 1 second in the pits. Robin Schatzmüller, now driving the CMRC Pro AM team, is in front of Freitag for pit speed racing. The difference was literally 1 second in the pits. Freitag 35.1, Schatzmüller, or rather, it was Frane, 34.1. This still goes on. Everyone has to pit now as the 48th minute passed. And Tobias Kohn is the last of the whole field, but he already pitted. And the question is, will they come out in front? Oh, that's Freitag into the grass, sideways twice. Somehow saves the car, and I have no idea how. I have honestly no idea how he made it through. That was extremely close to a disaster, but moreover, Andrea Miatto now sits in front of Schatzmüller, and Sven Freitag with Kritin completing the train. As Benjamin Voigt, as I said earlier, he had clean air, he wasn't battling with anyone in the last lap, and he's now in front by 2 seconds of Andrea Miatto, who himself is leading the train now, in front of Schatzmüller, Freitag, Kritin. But oh, that was close for Freitag. Sideways twice, into the grass, somehow managed to survive, and I have no idea how. I have honestly no idea how he made it through. The funny thing is that the race control didn't even notice the incident, because there isn't a single ticket for it. So I can't show you the replay, unfortunately, but it was extremely close. Or maybe I can. I could try. Nothing stops me, realistically. I just have to be extremely precise. But there is an overtake ongoing now because Freitag goes into the inside. Can he make it through in front of Schatzmüller? This fight has been going on for practically an entire hour. Oh, this time it was Schatzmüller going for the sideways drift. And Christopher Hoffman lost the position on the Ginetta driver. No, yes he did. Well, or rather, I don't think a change ever happened. I think these two are just battling. There is also this one here now, Sven Freitag trying to get the position done on Schatzmüller, and Kritin follows closely behind. Now into the inside, can he make it through into turn number 5 into barbecue? Sets the car in the middle of the road into sunset, but the Aston Martin has the inside, but couldn't defend the position. And that's Sven Freitag now in front of the CMRC Pro AM in Position number 9. As Sasha Wittig has to defend, but he's on the outside. Hoffman into the inside. This is another battle that has been going. Oh, that's Hoffman off. A bit wide, but still in contention side by side. The Ginetta tries to get through once more into Barbecue. This time it is a Ginetta going into the inside. And this time it is a Camaro on the outside trying to defend. But the Camaro has a better exit speed. And this is third place for Hoffman. And if you're wondering, wait, weren't they battling for second? The answer is yes, they were. But Livraki is now leading the race in GT4 because it didn't change the tires. He just went through the pits with the drive-thru. And Livraki is now leading the race in GT4. Matthew Hughes follows, another 1.5 seconds behind for Apex Predator Racing. And another 11 seconds behind. Christopher Hoffman now sits in third. So he's still in the podium. He still is in second. But I'm starting to struggle to think about Livraki surviving this. Mainly because Hughes is, well, there. It's not really invisible. And secondly, because he's very slow. 51.7. Hughes, 40. Okay, 49.9. Hoffman, although with the fight going on, 51.6. So Hoffman still gained, even if a fight was going on between himself and Wittig. Oh, that's speaking of Wittig, that's Wittig going a bit wide, losing the rear a tiny bit. That will certainly hurt Wittig's lap time. 52.1 in the last lap, again because they were battling. There is still a long way to go, 2 hours to go in this race, and something is changing here. Dominic Cypress still leading, as Christian Marquez went on to overtake Saxe for 16th place. This was the overtake. They put the car in 16th. As Livraki is still battling with Matthew Hughes. I saw them very, very close with each other. It was less than a tenth for a moment. And now Livraki is back in front of Hughes. This is for the lead of the race, effectively. Can't say anything, this is the lead of the race. As it's also the battle for 10th in GT3. The Sunset Outrun MG GT4 goes wide into turn 2. The Ginetta has to take evasive action. Once more, the tires are not really cooperating. You can see the Ginetta going for the cutback into the inside, cutting the curb, nearly making contact with Livraki, and Hughes still has to be careful because a contact could throw the car into the barrier, and then a penalty will be given to Matthew Hughes. This is just helping Christopher Hoffman. 51.8 Livraki's lap time in this lap. Hoffman, 50.2. 1.6 seconds gained in a single lap. That's a bit. That's certainly a bit. As Premi Rossellini is now in front of Michael Mies, the other Khaled racing team, but in the Aston Martin. Now can the Ginetta get through in front of the Italian, still with all the tires and with less fuel? You can see the Ginetta has more pace, but the slight issue is that the Mercedes is in front. You can't really beat that. That track position in Kyalami is good. It's very, very good. Although, once more, the Italian goes wide. This is a perfect opportunity for the Ginetta. Even if it's not really the best car in the world in straight. This is a good opportunity for the Ginetta driver that chooses the outside. Well, chooses more like... It's not like the Ginetta had any real choice in the discussion there. Gets the outside, which doesn't work. Once more behind. Into the first sector they go through. And the Ginetta has to look at the back of the MG GT4. Which, okay, it's a good car, but possibly Hughes wants to get in front, drifting into sunset. That's not a perfect racing line. That's skill points and a lot of drift points there. But I'm not sure if it was good for the tires. Well, obviously not, but it was cool. I'll give you that. Lucas Rode. I'm also looking at the gap between Rode and Hogg. The answer is there is no gap, to be fair. It's been pretty much a battle neck to neck between Hogg and Rode now. Early on it was 1-1 battling with Hogg. And now Lucas Rode, that started from 44th, the Ginetta is into the inside line by braking 1,000 years later, and sideways he goes. And that's Hughes off track after making contact with Francesco Di Vraghi. As Lucas Rode also quite close to the car in front, that's Tobias Hogg. We'll see the incident later on as this battle gets done. In the meantime, but Rode, last lap for Rode, 40.9. Hogg's last lap, 41.0. The Ginetta there is now way more distant to the Camaro than early on. Gap being 2.3 seconds. As the Camaro cuts the inside, as they are battling for a podium position, so they are quite aggressive on the blue flag scenario. As Aston tries to get into the grass, into the outside, into sunset, and nothing comes through it. So, yet to go for Lucas Rode. Still can't find the path to fourth, but they have to create it, and the answer is they are creating it. The 101 tries the inside of every single available turn. And with a cutback into the outside, which I suppose will become the inside because of the cutback. No, there is no cutback. The 106 actually defends the inside. I think the plan was that, to go for the cutback because of this corner here into mineshaft. But on the pro side, the Crocodiles is a right-hander corner, and this means that Rode was on the inside all along, and that's fourth place now for Lucas Rode. The 101 sits in front of Tobias Hogg for fourth place overall from 44th. Now back to see what happened to the battle for the lead. It was the 409 and the 402 that collided with each other. I don't think Rode will lose the position here. Although never say never, because speaking of battle for GT4, they are now about to lap the GT4s. The Ginetta has to give way. I wouldn't be surprised if Di Vraghi becomes extremely defensive. No, he doesn't actually. It remains quite fair. This was the incident from early on. Vraghi on the MG GT4 into the Crocodiles. Ginetta sends itself into the inside, by going over the curb, gets a bit unstable on the braking zone, and doing so, they lose the position and traction on the leader, and that's car number 105, Andrea Miatto for Tartu Restek, trying to get in front of, if the tower stops glitching out, in front of Benjamin Vogt. Last lap it was a 41.4 for Voigt, 41.5 for Miatto. And I think this lap will be slightly different. As Voigt sets 41.5, 41.4 for Miatto. As Livraghi and Yulz are still battling for position this time around. It is the Ginetta on the outside. Both battles on screen at the moment. You can see the Ginetta trying to get the leader in GT4. That's also Voigt passing through, colliding with Ginetta that has to give way more road than expected. As Voigt is himself battling for position with Miatto. Oh, there is a contact, and Aston Martin is off. And Voigt is off into sunset. Another contact. Another incident and another rear quarter panel incident for Benjamin Voigt. This hasn't been his race. Another incident in the very same way. And both times in live screen, so it's not like they don't have any replay available. There is this one. They can use it in court. So Matthew Yulz here on the outside. This time he tries from the outside. Livraghi goes on to defend the inside line as Voigt is now in 11th behind Kritin. And I'm quite sure that Voigt will be quite angry. Because at this point they could have been 5th. And now they have to crawl back again. Because of an incident in which they were innocent. So yeah, not the best race in the world for Freelancer in the Lightning McQueen livery. As the Ferrari passes through, that's Infinix Racing in the 119 car. And so this was the incident from early on, from the Restek lineup into sunset. From the Helicam, it was quite obvious, but I think this is even more obvious. We go into Miatto's point of view. So he tries to get into the inside of sunset. And it doesn't brake in time. Hitting the red Aston Martin, which is now in 11th place. And most importantly, they didn't repair the car in the last pit. 32.3, so they didn't pit the car. They didn't repair the car, apologies, they obviously pitted. But I think maybe they will have to repair the car this time around, and that AMG was without lights, now it is. So Yulz, this point, about to draw the AMG GT4's rear end by sheer memory. Because they've been behind for the last 25 minutes, I think. Now, can Yulz overtake? This time he chooses the inside, even if Livraghi doesn't really think about it. Oh, that's Livardi outbreaking himself, going over the curb on the marbles. Maybe this is the time where Hughes finally overtakes the Italian, and the answer is yes, he does. And he completes the overtake. Hughes is finally free of his chains, and is now leading the race in class. But all this discussion with the Italian led to Hoffman cutting the gap from 13 seconds to 7. By losing 6 seconds this whole time because of the battle that was going on. And Libragi's strategy of not pitting may work, because he was even behind Julians, so at the very least this is certainly putting the car somewhere else in front, especially because if he took somewhere else, but even behind the starting position in which he started his strategy from, that would have been an issue. But he's for now in second in class. Prior to the pits he was in 5th, so for now it certainly worked so far. I'm not sure if the cliff is going to happen rapidly, or even if he has enough time, because 48 minutes, let's go for 2, it's an hour and a half, so if he still has fuel for 20 more minutes, he can make it with a drive-thru. Otherwise, he may have some struggles towards the end of the race. So Tobias Hogg here and Lucas Rode are still one after the other, 4th and 5th. Battling for 4th place. Also in the backyard of the field, the Dragon Racing team. Oh, so that's... Wait. Ah, that's what happened. So for some reasons, Seth Wittig has the Dragon Racing team livery instead of the Callis Racing team. That's the reason why they have a different color. It's not because the CRT has changed colors, because Wittig has the wrong livery on. It is now using the rivalry jersey. But in any case, Tobias Korn currently sits last for Upshot Racing team, with Lynx Racing Spain team in 32nd place. Tulio Santos for Pipoca, the 407 MG GT4. Aki Raunio in Aki Boa Racing Aston Martin sits in 30th place overall. 29th or 9th in class, Michael Mies for Callis Racing team, and Yves Heim is just 8 tenths, no 7 tenths behind Premio Soldini with the Ginetta number 410 for TX Racing. Tom Winch is 6th in class and is another 2.3 seconds in front for Apex Predator Racing team, with Jamie Williams in the Kalala Racing Aston Martin, Sasha Wittig in the Callis Racing team, Ginetta in 24th, Christopher Hoffman sits in the podium in class for Creme de la Course. With Sunset Outrun, the Italian still is in 2nd. And Matthew Hughes now leads the GT4 field for Apex Predator Racing. Miguel Silverio is last in GT3 for LK Motorsport Racing. Jeremy Morris follows for Dohoyaga in 19th place. Christoph Sachse in the GT3 Pro Brothers in 18th. With Mesut Aydin in the Stratton Motorsport Ferrari 17th. Christian Marquez. Desmo Racing in 16th. Marcel No in the Colorworks Racing team. Porsche is now in 15th. And I think we have to rapidly approach 6th place because there is a possible battle going on. Only line for Carbon Motorsport Mustang in 14th with Pepega Motorsport in 13th place. Guido Rifagen for Influx Racing in 12th. Benjamin Voigt only 11th after 2 incidents in which they were both times innocent because it was a contact with a car behind that sent them both times out in the grass. Natalie Kritin sits in 10th for Team 42 with Robin Schwarzmüller in the Simmercy Pro Am team in 9th place, 8th place for Svein Freitag in the Pit Speed Racing, and then there is the battle for 6th with Pavel Morev and Andrea Miatto. Andrea Miatto for Tatum Restek and Pavel Morev for Speed Starts. Although I'm not sure if Morev will be able to keep 6th place by the end of the next lap, as this one gets done. 41.5, which becomes a 41.4 for Morev. Andrea Miatto set a 41.4, but it was a 40.8 in the lap earlier. Into inside, there was a possibility, but the Italian didn't commit to it. Then we got Tobias Hogue in the Carbon Motorsport Mustang, Lucas Rode in 4th place in the 101 CMRC with Mattia Max, Manuel Wagner and Dominic Cypress in the podium. I still want to follow this battle because this could become an important one as the Italian in the Tatum Restek goes on the outside of Clubhouse and into the SS. Can he complete the overtake? This is a majestic overtake, and matter of fact he completes the overtake in a wonderful manner on the outside of Clubhouse. That was insane. Oh, there is a contact, there is a push. That's Pavel Morev giving a gentle push to Andrea Miatto. Nearly going for a bumper run, and Miatto remains in 6th place. And honestly, this was the overtake into the outside. Look at this. So the Italian sets up the car, into the outside he goes, he remains on the outside, then commits to it fully into the SS and overtakes the car behind, which then the 1-1 Pavel Morev tries again to get the overtake done, but ultimately this was the contact. I would like to see if there was a moving and the braking for the Italian. No, there wasn't. It was simply Morev slightly overthinking it and following the Aston through the hairpin into lookup. That battle actually helped massively Svein Freitag, because look at this. Freitag now follows quite literally the car in front. So going to the splitter. Slap for Morev. 44.0 compared to the 41.8 for Freitag. Although there was an overtake in the middle of it all. Oh, actually there wasn't an overtake. It was a massive mistake for Morev. Something happened. I think he was stuck behind a couple of GT4s. It was way too slow of a lap time. Yeah, in fact, you can see 43.3 was the lap in which he was overtaken. And it was still faster than the last lap. So while the replay was going, certainly something happened to speed starts. So James Julians is battling for 4th place as there is a Mustang going through. And that is for 4th place in class. But the Aston remains behind. And also there is a battle for the lead now. I just noticed there has been a huge mistake by Cypress. He lost an eternity somewhere. Not sure if it was a mistake or if it was an incident. 104 wasn't involved in anything. Oh no, yes, there was an incident for the 104. A yellow flag appeared on the name. So we'll see if it is correlated. But Wagner is now 8 times behind the leader. As Aston still remains where it is. Julian's going for the inside line, which is occupied by the Ginetta. So there can't be any move into the inside of Barbecue. Maybe into Sunset, the things are going to be different. And Aston still has to follow for Kalala Racing. Meanwhile, in 7th place, it is still very close between actually everyone. There are a lot of battles ongoing. I'm not really sure which one to pick at this point, because there is a battle for 9th, there is a battle for 7th. Theoretically, the battle for the 1st place overall. We've got a 4th in GT4 and a battle for 7th. Actually, for 6th. So I'll try to follow them all at the same time and give you the best one. And as it stands, James Julians just behind the duo that we were following early on. Well, now the single man, as Andrea Miatto is a bit of a lone wolf right now. But we are in front of the other duo now forming with Anatoly. No, apologies, with Pavel Morev and Sven Freitag. But now the battle for 1st is actually ongoing. Look at that. Well, you can look at that, but there is possibility there for a battle. Meanwhile, there is also a four-way situation going on. With a 40 that goes into the inside, taps the Ginetta, goes for the move. Little tap between Wittig and Julians. As Voigt comes out of the pits with a bit of an undercut, and Ginetta remains where it is. Position number 4 in class. As we are getting closer to our 2nd pit stop of the race for everyone. And for now, James Julians for Kalala Racing cannot really complete the overtake, as Miguel Silverio also goes into the pits. So Benjamin Voigt, it wasn't a pit stop, apologies, it was a drive-through for exceeding track limits for Benjamin Voigt. So that's why he's now in 13th place. As the battle between the two here still goes on. With Anatoly Kritin colliding with one of the GT4 cars, and this is just helping Wittig to keep position. And this was, remember, the yellow flag I was mentioning early on, this was apparently the reason for the yellow flag for the 104. Dominic Cypress leading the race. Wonder if it's going to show me the incident, or maybe it was just too late. Apparently we will not know the reason for yellow flag, but there was a yellow flag in Cypress' name. Or rather, number. But I think, no, okay, yes, he was driving, so it was Cypress making a mistake. But unfortunately, the replay doesn't really show me anything. Meanwhile, it's Sven Freitag. And Pavel Morev still battling for position number 7. Sparks flying off the diffuser from the Aston in 7th. 41.8 was the last lap for Morev. 41.7 for Freitag. Schatzmüller 41.9. So at this point, the battle is not really impacting their lap times. Andrea Miato is also flying away. And Benjamin Voigt, now 14th. So make something out of this. Not so great race. And look at that. I think there was another mistake by Cypress, because Wagner is now barely behind. Look at this. This is the battle for the lead of the race. Dominic Cypress for Firefly Racing, following closely the leader, and Mattia Max slow and steady. Well, obviously not slow and steady, but he has been going places without really being monitored so far. Meanwhile, Alexander Zviagin loses the position on Benjamin Voigt for 12th place. Wagner's last lap was a 41.2 compared to 41.895 for Cypress. Now this lap, 41.6 for Cypress, 41.4 for Wagner, 41.2 for Mattia Max. This is a freeway battle for the lead. And the CMRC Endurance is trying to win it. The car that was in pole already, but it would have been way better for them if the sister car didn't start in 34th because of a mistake of some sort. The car wasn't in the field. Something broke. The car wasn't in the field at the formation lap. So I wonder if there was a crash, a disconnection, or something to resolve. Meanwhile, Wagner was trying to get into the lead in the SS. They still has to keep it behind, and this is not really helping because Cypress is going to slow down, even if a tiny bit, because of the obvious battle. It's going to help Max because he's now only 1.5 seconds behind the leader, not even the Bentley. And Max could become the leader all of a sudden if these two have some physical interaction rather than just a chase. Mattia Max, look at that. Look at that gap. It disappeared in a single lap. It was 1.5 from the Bentley, and now it is 1.0. Half a second has been gained by Max on both cars, because it was a 42.1 for both Cypress and Wagner. It was also Wagner maybe thinking about sending the car, but possibly a bit too much time in the middle, and Liveraki loses the position number 2 in the GT4 field. So that's a podium position gone. for Livraghi. I probably tried to get a replay, but Livraghi's pace is nowhere. He lost 2 seconds in the last lap, so Hoffman now second in class. 12 seconds behind Hughes. There was a contact between Livraghi and Sviakin, apparently. This battle is quite important, and I think the Bentley will try to get the position done in turn number 2, probably. So here the Bentley again thinks about it, but nothing really happens. Max gained another 2 attempts on both cars. At this point Cyprus is dictating the pace, even for Wagner. The GT3, that's a Ferrari, is now in the middle of the way. They have to give the way to Dominic Cyprus. Oh, there is possibly a contact between the Bentley and the Aston, defending as late as possible. The Ferrari is not really helping the situation there. The Bentley tries into the inside. There is no space available for Wagner. At this point the Ferrari throws itself into the gravel nearly, but it was actually Mattia Max nearly going on for second place in front of Manuel Wagner. This is the battle for the lead, and it's a freeway battle for the lead. The correction driver is into the inside. Can he make the overtake down into turn number 13? And the answer is not yet. Bentley is probably faster than the Aston. Like, there is no space available once more. But the Bentley will have a better exit speed because of Cyprus' defensive moves into the inside. Max lost a tiny bit of time for some reasons, possibly lost the rear. And that's Aston really covering this. Oh, there is a contact between the two. And that's the Bentley. And the Aston colliding once more. And the Aston is sideways in the middle of the racetrack. And there is a contact between Cyprus and Max, and both cars are now in the middle of the racetrack, sideways and with damage sustained. And this was the battle for the lead, and now it is a disaster. We go into the replay to see what exactly happened between the two from the helicam. You can see that it was nerve-wracking. The Aston collided with the Bentley once and then twice. And unfortunately, I think he was on the throttle. Oh, if he was on the throttle, that's going to be a huge penalty for Cyprus, actually. So let's dive again, but this time on the onboard camera. So Cyprus defends the inside, collides with the Bentley once, and then doesn't really give any space twice. Oh yeah, I think he was on the throttle. Oh yeah, I think he was on the throttle when the incident happened. So this is from the Bentley's point of view. The Aston defense the inside really doesn't really give any space to his opponent, which then collides with him. And that's the incident. And finally, from our Honda, which was chasing the two, look at that. There really wasn't any available space between the two, with Aston effectively trying to collide, in a sense, with the Bentley. And unfortunately, it was Mattia Max, the one losing the most. He's now 7 seconds behind Tobias Hogg. Sven Freitag is now battling with Pavel Morev. So that was, in my opinion, Cyprus way too defensive. He tried to practically... He practically tried to put the Bentley in the grass by moving even under braking, which is already a no, without giving any effective space to his opponent. And also I think he went on the throttle when he was sideways, taking out TMX. So he did a pocket of mistakes in that regard, and possibly a huge penalty will be given to the former leader of the race, which is that helps. The decision, because they are not in the race anymore. They are not in the race anymore. They pitted and they DNF'd. So we lost the car 104, which was starting from the lead. No, apologies, it's back. 14th place. It was just my race control that fumbled for a moment. Riccardo disappeared from my screen. Probably it's because Kyalami has an odd pit lane where part of it is prior to the finish line, and so maybe the game, or rather, I know that the game doesn't really consider your existence at times. Okay, never mind. The 104 is still leading, is still in the race, not leading, and we've got the battle for third still going on. James Julians. That was likely just a tiny bit closing the door. Nothing too exceptional. If an entire iron gate was available to be closed and to be slammed in the face of Kalala Racing, I think the Geneta would have used that. I think Sasha Wittig would have used that gate, the heaviest gate available. That's a Bentley into the grass nearly. I slammed it in front of Kalala Racing. Now in position number 4. And the pit lane is... that was nearly a speeding infraction for James Julians. Trying to take advantage of situation. And Lucas Rode now leads the race. The CMRC number 101. And actually, the 101 could actually end up leading the race, because Mattia Max is now behind Rode. I suppose there could be them. Oh, creating pizza. I think it was with yellow flags. There is some traffic in the pit lane. So what just happened at the car number 111? So it was into Cheetah, that's obvious. But was it self-inflicted, or was it because of a car? Okay. Yep. Full send into the curb. Luckily it was already pitting anyway, so not much has been lost in that regard. So let's see times in the pits. It was a 39 seconds pit for Inflixer. There was a contact here. James Julians is now in front of Tobias Lungeberg, but there was contact, and I'm quite sure the flashing lights aren't there just to say, "Ha, nice overtake." I'm pretty sure we can see the reason for everything. So this is out of the pits. This is James Julians for Kalala Racing. Will he go into the inside or outside? He goes into the inside and takes the corner in quite a literally manner. Literally owning the property of turn number 2 whether Longeberg wanted it or not. And so now Julians is in position behind, and there was another contact, this time between Berends and Giraud. With possibly Pascal Giraud getting the position done. So let's see. So there was a battle between the two. The 119 on the outside and Aston Martin on the inside over the curb. Actually, it was well as unexpected. So back to the front of the field, Sascha Glatter is leading, but it's not a huge lead. They can do it. They can definitely do it. Oh, there is more contact here. And this time it is again the GT4 battle. Longeberg and Julians for third place once more. So I suppose it wasn't the cleanest battle in history. As the Aston is still on the outside into sunset, but not much can be done on the outside of sunset, although the Ginetta goes wide itself. That's Aston maybe sending it into clubhouse, and nothing really happens. And Miato now comes through, cutting in half the battle, which gives me a huge opportunity to go back and see what happened. So this was the main straight. It was already the Ginetta in front. You can see the little tap, another tap, and I can guess it there was a third one. Probably no, there wasn't. Then there was another incident early on, which was this one here. This was the overtake from the Ginetta side. So Ginetta goes through into the last corner. That's what happened between the two at the very beginning of the battle. She now sees Tobias Lungeberg still third. He has a second of advantage. And these two are certainly having a good battle. And I'm not sure it will stop in the next 80 minutes. So, situation in the pits. What really happened? Sascha Glatter missed the pit box. 3 seconds added to the usual pit stop. Kevin Brown repairs. 7 seconds added to the usual pit stop time. Then we've got a couple of repairs, but nothing too important. Oh, there is Svein Freitag. 3 seconds lost for a missed pit box. Stefan Berends, 119 in Felix Ferrari, 7 seconds added for repairs. Matthew used to repair the car, but he already had a very large gap to the car behind. And Longeberg and Julians are still battling as the Italian from early on. Wait. Wait a second, where is he? Where is Livraghi? So we lost Livraghi. And I'm pretty sure it's a disconnection because I didn't see any incident regarding the car number 409. I'm pretty sure it's a disconnection at this point. To 409, there was a yellow flag actually. 409. So this is what happened. If anything happened, Francesco Livraghi here. From a few minutes back. Oh, yep, it's a disconnection. That's definitely disconnection for Livraghi. So we lost another podium contender in GT4, maybe even more than a podium contender. That's now the reason why Longeberg and Julians are battling for the podium. It was a 50.5 in the last lap for Julians, Longeberg 50.7. So as it stands, Julians is gaining on Longeberg, and it means that he is gaining on the podium. So looking up front, Sasha Glatter leading the race by 3 seconds only on Sebastian Zender, who was starting from literally last, 44th on the grid. Kevin Brown follows in third, and Tobias Haug is glued to him, and Mattia Max is now only 5th. He was battling for the lead. But definitely that incident will be looked after the race. Was it 110 stopped on track? Is it hiding? Oh! Yeah, that car is slightly damaged. So what happened here to the 110? Outside of the last corner. Back on the throttle. What? What? That... Did he hit a wall? Let's see again, it was very odd. Come to Titan for starter motorsport, he goes on the final corner. He goes on the throttle. And he crashes. And I have no idea how. So the only thing that comes to my mind is that the wheel lost force feedback. That's the only thing that comes to my mind, because it was out of control, completely out of control, this car. Now it's going to repeat. If we see a change of driver, which I doubt that can happen since Mizuta Edin is solo driving. So yeah, that possibly was something to do with the wheel. It was very odd. Tobias Haug here, now 4th place battle. Still behind the pole sitter as Edin goes into the pits. Last lap it was 41.5 for Brown and 41.1 for Haug. Now Brown going a bit quicker than the lap prior, 6 tenths in the delta time. So this could be Brown's opportunity to have a larger gap. And in the meantime, the battle for the podium in GT4 never really stopped, as Longeberg still defensive against James Julians, who now in clubhouse is trying to get positional. It's a 40.1 for Kevin Brown, fastest lap of the race so far. So he definitely put some gap between himself and Tobias Haug, as the Aston Martin tries to take the Porsche. It's a bit of an advantage. And we lost another car. That is possibly the Ferrari. Yeah, that's terminal damage. I suppose that was indeed the wheel for Strider Motorsport that gave up. Whether it was for overheating or power issues, it was way too old. The car completely sending the owner into the barrier. And Christian Marquez now into the pits, and the Aston into turn 2, but nothing really happens in Croton. As Kevin Brown, all of a sudden, remembered how to drive, and he created a gap with Haug by another car. He's not in the lobby anymore, though. Oh, that's Christian Marquez. Also him DNFing from the race. It's another DNF. He went into the pits very early and left the race. There wasn't any incident for Marquez, though. So as I was saying, now Kevin Brown nearly 2 seconds with the car behind. And meanwhile here, it's barely 2 meters with the car behind as JJ tries to take the outside line, which then becomes the inside lines into the crocodiles. And Julian's still unable to overtake the Ginetta, although it is very, very close. And nearly making contact with the diffuser of Tobias Longeberg, still third. And Julian's now into the inside. Oh, there was contact between the two. And that's now Julian's in third place in front of Longeberg. That's a very, very long battle for position. Although, once more, with a contact between the two. So we can see from the helicam, which was looking at the parking lot for some unknown reasons. So Dustin goes into the inside into turn 2. Little tap, which sends the Ginetta out of the racing line. But that was Julian's now in third. So after setting the fastest lap of the race so far, Tobias Haug lost 2 seconds in total. As you can see here, and Kritin is into the pits. And out of the pits because it was a drive-through for exceeding track limits. So Stefan Behrens, Alexander Zvivagin. And not quite yet, Olilai remains behind. So 2 cars gained a position because of the penalty. Sebastian Zentner in the Simmer C Endurance Babe Armenia. 2 seconds behind Glatter. And in the last lap, Zentner gained half a second. There was a contact apparently with another car for Benjamin Sachse. Possibly the Porsche behind, that's Sven Freitag. About to overtake and to lap Ferrari in 17th place. Into turn 2. This will be for 16th place, but at this point Sachse lost a good chunk of time to Morris, who now sits a second point 8 in front, in 2 seconds. But Zentner, you can see in front, Ginetta, but you can see even more in front, well, not really much in front, it's just here, as Glatter made some contact with Ginetta. Zentner is now only 1 second behind Glatter. So Simmer C could actually win the race, but with a different car compared to what was expected. Since the 104 was starting from pole, and the 101 was starting 34th, and now Zentner is about to make it in P1. I'll be honest, Brown also helped the situation by taking out 1 car. That certainly helped. Now Mattia Max is in 5th, 8 seconds behind. I wonder if the damage is high enough to put the car in an unstable manner. Although 41.0 the last lap. So 101 is effectively in the best possible place, although Hughes is... Oh, Michael Mies is actually jumping from side to side of the standings. And speaking of which, we lost the leader. Oh no, he's back. Okay, never mind. It's glitching out. I think it's the internet connection is not completely stable here for Hughes, but he's okay. Either for Hughes or for Mies, because Mies is always in front. Well, at times he's in front of Hughes, only graphically, obviously, not physically on track. So Zen's last lap was the first after many in which he didn't gain time on Glatter. It was a 40.7 from Glatter, 40.8 for Zentner. And with 60 minutes to go, we are getting into the sprint race range, with a third of the race yet to be completed. As you can see, missed again in the tower. No, in first, but every time he... Seems like the game doesn't recognize the fact that he's been lapped, and... Oh, there's a cut-off! Oh, that's Miguel Silverio off the racetrack with rear damage to the car. What was it? So was it a contact with the car behind? Or was it self-inflicted? Oh yeah, I can see the rear already going off. And then the crash into the wall with the rear bumper. As Andrea Miato is meters away to get Mattia Max. Miato, which started in 20th place, he is now in 6th. So will Andrea Miato make the overtake in this lap, or in the next lap, or in the next hour altogether, or never? Maybe even now, since Max just went wide into turn 2. Going left then right, thinking about a move in a place which is difficult to make moves. Some sparkles flying off Miato's diffuser. You can see some rear end damage on Max's car. There was a contact between Langeberg and Gamov. So Gamov hasn't... It hasn't been the first time I've seen Gamov's name being linked to a contact of some sort. So we'll see if it was a huge incident or if it was a simple tap. In other news, Zender is back on his usual cutting time schedule. He gained 3 times in the last lap, and once more, at least he lost 2 times. Kevin Brown is a bit of an elastic bender. He went on to set a 40.6 in the last lap. In this lap it was a 41.6, but nothing changed in the middle. It's like... It's very odd being so inconsistent at these levels. Possibly Brown has an issue with the car, although he repaired the car, so that's possibly not linked to the damage from early on. Maybe there was simply a mistake in his lap for Brown. Can Miato get a position done? This will be for top 5, and with 10 more seconds to go, he could get into 4th place. This was a 41.5 for Max and a 41.7 for Miato. So effectively Max gained 2 times back, but the Croatian and the Italian are fighting for top 5, although remember Max at this point could have been in 1st place already. Meanwhile, this was the contact from early on. So there was a contact between the Aston Martin and Langeberg. So was it a huge incident or was it just a little tap? So it was a little tap. It was more the Aston Martin losing the race car than anything else. So we are now into the final hour. Kyalami was a 41.4 for Miatto, 41.6 for Max. Now into the hairpin. Italian takes the outer line. So we get a cutback. But the Honda really sits on the apex. Although I know I say Honda, but if you look closely on the livery, it says Sakura. So technically I should call it an Acura. Still remains in 5th. In accelerated lap, so 41.9 for Max, 41.8 for Miatto. And in first place we've got a 40.8 for Glatter, 40.7 for Zenner, 41.1 for Brown. So once more Zenner is chasing but not gaining, or rather gaining, but not as much as early on. As the Acura now 10 seconds behind Hogue, is not really gaining on Hogue either. So I'm starting to suspect that the damage from early on may be worse than expected. And they didn't repair the car in the last pit. At this point it was probably a better choice to do repairs rather than ignore them. Sakura ready the fence, the inside line, there is a yellow flag, there is a cut off that Silverio once again in the barrier. This is the reason for another incident for Miguel Silverio in the Audi R8. Oh, he just went into the grass altogether, cannot brake in time, he goes into the gravel and then he doesn't collide with the wall. So yeah, it was a mistake once again for Miguel Silverio. Now the Acura barrel in front of Miatto. This is a 41.4 for Max, 41.6 for the Italian. The Battle GT4 has calmed down a bit, although Lungeberg is only 1.3 seconds behind Huygens. There's also the battle for the lead in GT4, which has been going on slowly, but it has been going on because Hoffman is now only 4.1 seconds behind Youth. And he is definitely gaining every single lap. Can't say the same about Zenner. Seems like his rampage has calmed down a bit. He's now steadily 1.2, 1.3 seconds behind. Completely opposite from this situation. In which Max barely hangs in front of Miatto. Spence goes slow for some reasons, possibly an out of track moment. The Acura for now remains in 5th at the very least. Maybe not, as the Aston tries to get the inside line into barbecue. But the idea rapidly extinguishes itself. Silverio is back in the pits. With 53 minutes to go, it means that he will have to go through the pit lane one more time. And that is a pit stop, it's not a drive-through. There are two more battles also ongoing. There is the battle for 13th, in which Only Line collided with Longeberg. There's the battle for 16th. Only Line is battling with Anatoly Kritin for 13th place. Kritin, which had a drive-through early on for track limits. There were also the two cars, I think. Jeremy Morris was one of them. He received a drive-through in the race, and I think someone else, because I remember 3 cars. Oh yeah, Pascal Giraud in currently 10th place in a free Lancer car in the Lightning McQueen livery. He now sits in 10th, but after a drive-through and 2 rear-end collisions, they are only 10th. They could have been battling for 5th at this point. Maybe because they are 25, 28, 33 seconds behind the Miato. So yeah, they could have been battling for 5th, even better, maybe even for 4th place at this point. But I had an eventful race so far. Still 50 minutes to go. Remember, the final pit stop will come just after the 48th minute marker. The final pit stop will put the cards on the table. About who has the better opportunity into winning, getting in the podium, getting into the top 5. It's still much yet to be discussed. And after 50 minutes of racing yet to go, we will have our winner for this 4th week. 41.7 for Max, 41.6 for Miato. The battle in the lead is getting a bit less action now, since Stenner is now 1.6 seconds behind the leader. It was a 40.9 for Glatte and a 41.5 for Zenner the last lap. And once more Miato tried something different, but it didn't work out. In the meantime, I will use my time to say thanks to everyone who is following the LFM channel, everyone who is subbed to the channel with or without Prime, everyone who supports LFM in any way, either with the Patreon or with, again, that was a terrible noise from my chair, either with the Patreon or with donation through the channel, so the Twitch and or YouTube channel, but also thanks to all of our partners that effectively let all of this be possible. You can see them in the left bottom corner all of them help in either the process or... Oh, this could be the chance for Miato. Yes, it is the chance for Miato. And it's already over. It was a very quick overtake. What happened there to Max, huh? All of a sudden he lost a lot of momentum. And he lost the position, but it was... nearly... without any... It was nearly defenseless. Look at this. So he goes wide. He goes on the marbles. Oh, that's why he went on the marbles. He lost traction on the rear. And this was Mattia Max losing the position on the Italian. Quite quickly. And effectively, in a single turn, it wasn't even a fight, it was more a mistake by Max, unfortunately. And now Max has to either answer back or stay behind. This will be sixth only for a team that was battling for the win. But as I was saying, thanks to all of our partners that effectively let all this happen, they are rotating in the bottom left corner, but also many are expressed in the various series, in LFM, in the GT4 series, in the GT3 Sprint series. So thanks to SyncMesh, Case Kingdom, the head snare, and then ACC Drive, which also brings together this championship, the Endurance Championship, which has also offered not one, not two, but 10 licenses, lifetime licenses for the winners in class, and Go Setups and Nitro Concepts PMAX, and also thanks to Fanatec, Paddock Legends, PXN, Next Level Racing, and Box 1 Racing, all of them which are proud partners of LFM, and it's thanks to these companies and these names that you are seeing these products, which is fantastic and well brought to you all. And if you're new to LFM, the website, which is possible to be linked in chat with !LFM, brings you to the home website in which you can have every series you want, every race you want, in 3 different simulators, in Automobilista 2, in ACC, and in Assetto Corsa, with obviously many news to come in the next months. Meanwhile, Anatoly Kritin, yellow flag for him. So what happened? He was alone, all on himself, possibly, into the SS. So he goes left, he goes way too much left, he goes on the grass, he goes to the curb, he goes sideways. He doesn't crash, but he loses the position on Oli Line, who is now in 13th place. He was battling with Oli Line, and Caravan Motorsport now finds itself in 13th place for about a minute, because now Line goes into the pits, same goes for Sviagin, now into the pit lane. Night time fell in Kyalami, South Africa, and it's 8 o'clock, and with 45 minutes to go, we are reaching the point in which usually the sprint series happens on Thursdays, with the double header, 20 minutes and 40 minutes. Usually one of the 2 races lasts for, well, usually always, well, to be exact, for 11 weeks out of 12. There is a first race which lasts 20 minutes and a second race which lasts 40 minutes. So we are now getting into the zone in which usually there is a complete race with pit stops. But for now, we are just waiting for the final pit stop that so far happened for many. Dragging in line into the pits, they went. Morris and Silverio also into the pits, but remember Silverio still has to make another pit stop. Hog now into the pits. In the other Carbon Motorsport Mustang. As they come out in 10th. And Sebastian Zenner now extremely closer to Glatte than early on. So Zenner goes now on to follow Glatte. So this could actually be a battle for first after 2 hours and 20 minutes of racing. And after 33 positions gained. After putting the car in second place, starting from the pits, or rather to last place, I don't think they were in the pits, and from 34th all the way into second now. And this could literally be the last first challenge for Simmercy Endurance, which at this point will just be oh wait. Oh, there's Giroud off! And Morris, Giroud once more involving an incident. So what happened here to Giroud? It was self-inflicted, very likely. Yeah, it was self-inflicted, obviously, but it was on the curb. Yes, it was on the curb. It jumps, goes sideways into the gravel, and as you could see, Morris followed through, leaving him into the gravel. Marcel no, now into the pits, but there was contact with Michael Mies, which keeps disconnecting at times, but luckily not in a definitive manner. And then now is only 8 tenths behind the Bentley, which is now in the lead of the race. So as I was saying, Simmercy Endurance Bevernia is practically putting a plaque on their championship. We're already leading by several lengths, several race lengths to the second placed team. It also helps that they are consistently running this championship compared to many teams that are not. And very likely they will come home with the licenses for the team. Lifetime licenses even. But now we are thinking about this race here. Sebastian Zenner 41.1 in the last lap, same as Sasha Glatter with a 41.1. We're going to the splitter. This could be the opportunity for Zenner as he goes on the outside, but that's because Glatter went into the pits. So effectively not an effective overtake. Maybe this one is an effective overtake as Mattia Max is still not over with it. Andrea Miato managed to overtake Max some laps ago. And now with 40 minutes yet to complete, Miato didn't manage to create a gap with the following car as Matthew Hughes and meters behind Christopher Hoffman are into the pits. That's the lead in GT4, also possibly changing. Sasha Glatter and Sven Freitag also in the pits in GT3 field. And these two are possibly going to be the next two. As Manuel Wagner will complete the race for Firefly Racing. Spanner Wagner now in the Bentley. And Max, after a pretty slow lap, 41.6. After Miato put together a very slow lap, 42.2, Max with a 41.6, managed to gain enough time to get back in the slipstream with Miato. As the leader in GT4 still remains Matthew Hughes. Christopher Hoffman follows behind, but very likely this could also be another battle for the very end of the race. Mattia Max becomes the leader of the race, overtaking Andrea Miato, but that's because Zenner and Miato are both in the pits, which effectively gives a huge opportunity to Wagner. He has to make a perfect outlap. He is now on the main straight. Will he be in front of their rivals? And the answer is no. Absolutely no. And that's Lucas Rode now leading the race in front of Manuel Wagner. It was not a great outlap by the Bentley driver who was leading the race, Firefly Racing. The outlap was a 47.8. Compared to, for example, Cypress, who made a 47.6, so it was simply very likely. It was also a better in-lap. Yes, it was a better in-lap. Look at this. 28.2 for Wagner. 27.4. So already 1 second was gained simply by pitting in a better manner. And probably the outlap will help this team, which is now leading the race. They were 34th at the start of the race. And Voigt, another yellow flag. Oh, that's because he's out of the pits. And Mattia Max finally gets the car serviced. Now, if I could choose, if I would be in the lead, I will try a no tire change. If I was in Max place, I would try a fuel only strategy, but that's not what is happening on Max side of the garage. So Lucas Rode effectively in the lead. Look at the outlap also, 47.8 for Wagner. That's what really changed. The outlap was terrible for Wagner. Lucas Rode 46.0. They gained only in a pit out 3 seconds. As Max is now back on the racetrack, and he's still, oh, this time he is in front of Miato. So even for him, good pit stop, and he now sits in front of the Italian, who so much struggled to get in front of Mattia Max. Now the battle for the lead in GT4. Christopher Hoffman unfortunately gets slowed down by the sister car. Look at this. That's the 412 in the middle of the way. And Tom Winch gets involved. I hope it's not, but I'm pretty sure it is what I think it was. It was terrible behavior. As Tom Winch tried to defend the racing line against his opponent, Look at this. He just closes the door a tiny bit there. Aston Winch is now in 27th place after losing position on both Heim and Raunio. But that was Christopher Hoffman battling for the lead of the race. And you can see the 412 going back on the corner. With Hoffman flashing lights and the Ginetta really not giving any possibility to Hoffman. And if that was the case, which I'll be honest, it's pretty difficult to defend innocence there. It wasn't a great look for Apex Predator Racing Team. There was a yellow flag again for Benjamin Vogt. The 103 was involved in another incident. And this time, was it because of the Ferrari? Or was it again because of the yellow sausage curb on the right? It was again the very same corner, the very same way that took many out of the road. As Aki Raunio now defending against Yves Heim. Coming back on the GT4 incident. If that was the case, if it was purposely defense move as a lapped car, I suspect a huge penalty will be given to that entire team. Meanwhile, Aki Raunio and Yves Heim battling for position number 25, which is 7 in class. The Ginetta couldn't overtake Raunio, so Dragon Racing Team remains in 26th overall. It's still not over. Dragon Racing Team tries again to get into 7th place. Last lap it was a 53.0 for Raunio, 52.9 for Heim. Akiboa Racing has to remain in this place. Otherwise they may lose not even one position but 2 places. Now, Christopher Hoffman, after what happened, after the contact from early on, is back in contention. As Tom Winch overtakes Yves Heim for position number 26 overall. The very second I went out to look at something else, and this was the overtake. It was the Ginetta going sideways into the marbles and into the grass. It was an easy overtake for Apex Racing Ginetta. So Tom Winch is now in 26th. With Heim just following behind. Although it's not over yet, as Winch and Heim are side by side into turn 1. Then as we go into turn 2, it's going to be Heim on the inside. He goes deep on the brakes, but he remains in position number 26, against the place in front of Tom Winch, and Kyalami still holding on to 7th place. As another Aston Martin comes through. That was a GT3, and it was Jeremy Morris in 17th place. As it stands, this is the closest battle we've got on track, although many other battles are starting to reappear. This is a battle for first. And Yahoo! That's Audi launching itself into the inside. That was Miguel Silverio throwing himself way too deeply, and matter of fact, he's back behind 2 of the 3 GT4s. Trying again on the outside this time. So Lucas Rode, he is leading the race quite comfortably in the last 30 minutes of the race. Manuel Wagner follows another 3 seconds behind, and Dominic Cypress in the sister car, which started in pole, caused a cataclysmic incident, and is now in 3rd. Tobias Hogg in 4th place, and Mattia Max for now in 5th. But he is actually gaining on Andrea Miatto, which is odd considering that it's the same teams on the same cars, on the same tires, rather on the same strategy since they both changed tires, on the same drivers. And now Max is having a way better time than Miato without even repairing the car. It's the same as early on. As more is happening here, there was contact between Heim and Winch, as Kyalami is now miles in front. But what happened between the two? So we have a view of the incident. The 2 Ginettas were battling for 8th in class, and that was Winch going way too aggressive once more, throwing the car into the grass, but possibly giving back the position, and now Winch is back behind. Oh, that's a 407. And Tobias Hogg made contact. We can see Tobias Hogg behind the MG GT4 in the SS. Oh yeah, that's the MG closes the door maybe a bit too early. That was then contact between the two. Santos didn't lose any position in the incident. Christopher Hoffman now back behind Matthew Hughes. Both Hughes and Hoffman went into the pits without stopping. Only a drive-through for both of them. It was also a drive-through for Sasha Wittig. Apologies, for Michael Miss in the CRT Cadillac Racing Team number 413. It was a drive-through for Dennis Nobel in 30th place overall. The gap in front at this point is way bigger now, but there is the battle for the lead in GT4. This has also the same prices as the GT3 field. Apologies for the mishap, but I forgot how to speak properly. So now Hughes defends the inside. Hoffman chooses the outside. The Ginetta is way slower than Hoffman at this point. The Apex Predator racing car leaves a window open on the inside. It was a fake window, but this had terrible implications for Yu's rear end as he was sliding off barbecue. The Camaro still holds the aggressiveness. This is for the lead. This is Creme de la Course that could win the race in GT4. Reginetta closing the door as soon as physically possible. Not even a second after the Aston Martin passed. Reginetta was already on the apex, and Hughes has to defend this position for 22 minutes against Hoffman, who, without really fooling anyone, is way faster than they both risked way too much by going over the curb to gain those few tenths. As there was also an overtake here between Yves Haim and Aki Runio. It was on the road uphill to turn 10. Into the hairpin. That was Yves Haim for Dragon Racing Team in 25th place. So they gained 7th in class. So in Freytag now, a bit closer to Pavel Morev. This is for 7th in GT3. As Hoffman is now 8 tenths behind Yutz. As the 403 gives space to the two cars passing through. That was the grass for Pavel Morev. This could actually be the overtake for position, as Morev went on the grass, lost a good chunk of time, but Freytag was just behind. I couldn't finish the overtake. And once again, Freytag has to remain behind Pavel Morev. So Speed Racing at the edge of 7th place. Realistically, this is the only position they can gain unless someone runs out of fuel or crashes in front of them. This is 100% the only position they can gain, and they will give everything. Actually, I think it's just Svein Freytag on the 109. Yes, it is. So Freytag will give everything in his power to finish the race in 7th. 1-1. It's two of them. They both tried their best so far. Will they manage to complete the race in 7th place? Now into turn 2. That's on the fence. The Porsche gets wider on entry. Trying the overtake on the outside, it's a bit difficult. The next corner is an inside corner. Nearly pushes the Aston over the curb on the left. There is a contact between the two. The Porsche goes slightly over the grass. There's more contact, and the Aston goes sideways, and it doesn't crash somehow. But Pavel Morev is now in 9th place. It was very, very, very close. Let's have a look from the onboard. As you can see, the Porsche nearly clears Morev. There was a tiny tap. More of a tap here as Morev went sideways about 5 times. Somehow saved the car. He is now in 8th place. 6 seconds behind Freytag. That was very close for Morev. That somehow managed to save the car after a contact with a Porsche driver that was in the grass. As he probably didn't do it on purpose. I'm quite sure that it was simply because he was on the grass that he went back on the racing line so abruptly. He had half the car on the grass, but luckily both of them survived, so it possibly will be declared as a racing incident, or at worst a warning, as in you were both naughty but you survived, so we'll keep it like this, which is fair, since both nearly lost the car. One was with 2 wheels on the grass and nearly snap oversteered into, or actually snap oversteered into the car on the left. And the Aston was nearly sent into the barriers by the physics of the world, and somehow Morev managed to say nah to the physics and effectively survive not 1, not 2, but 4 different sideways moments. Now Christopher Hoffman is the next closest fight on track. This is for the lead. With 16 minutes to go. This could realistically end in only 2 ways. With Utes winning and with a lot of criticism from Creme de la Course, or with Hoffman winning and possibly use trying an attack at the an attack back at the first available moment. Considering Ginetta is so good on braking, I highly suspect that if Hoffman manages to get in front, we will see Utes try a late maneuver in the last corner, and then we will see who will win. Silverio back in the pits, and this is a scheduled pit stop since he went in way too early. Last lap for Utes, it was 50.9. Hoffman's last lap 50.7. 2 temps gained again, but he has to complete the overtake in the next 15 minutes, and he also has to give way to the GT3 field, which could come in clutch. Oh, there is a contact between the Mustang and the Ginetta driver. And Hoffman is now going for the overtake, as the Mustang will look at the action from the backyard, and the Camaro goes through. The 401 is now leading the race in GT4 after a contact between Ollie Line and Matthew Utes. And Mustang now going past the Camaro, but that was the lead change in GT4 after literally 2 hours, because there was also Liveraghi that led the race for some time, so it wasn't all the 3 hours in the hands of Youths, but still, with only 13 minutes to go, Youths lost the position, and this was the reason for it. Look at this. So he gave way to the Acura that was passing through, tried to pass the Ginetta, but by doing so sent the Mustang in which he was driving and Youths out of line. Then the overtake happened. That going sideways was Anatoly Kritin, and he is about to lose a position on Marcel No on the Colorworks Porsche 113. Now Kritin is losing time because he's defending against No. To the last corner with 12 minutes to go, about 7 laps till the end. This is effectively for 12th place, as the Ferrari up front is the other car battling for position. This three-way train for 12th set 42.8, 43.4, 43.2 respectively, as No lost a huge chunk of time there, putting Kritin back behind Sviagin without any real trouble behind, although the trouble is 1.5 seconds behind, so it's not like it's clear completely. Oh, nearly a contact there between the two. Meanwhile, Xavier Sobreroca managed to overtake Tulio Santos for 28th overall. These two still battling for 12th place with 10 minutes to go. Can Kritin get position before the end of the race? Now side by side into turn 2, as there is another car in the middle of the way. That's Aston Martin number 403, I think. Couldn't really see the number. I think it was James Williams in the 403. Selecting the grass for Kritin. Into the S's. Clock is ticking. And battle for the lead at this point is gone, as Wagner has a 7 seconds gap on the car that was starting in 34th place, and in 9 minutes it's pretty much impossible. Dominic Cypress could still make it a 1-2 for Simmons Endurance on the grid, Although there is very likely a penalty that will follow. And Tobias Hoge, another 10 seconds behind, can still lose the position on Mattia Max, who has been gaining 7 times per lap lately. The battle for the lead in GT4 may be actually over now, but never say never, since those two battling are still pretty close, 1.5 seconds only between the two. Now Christian trying to search, trying to find something different to attack the Ferrari driver. Oh, the triple one follows a very wide Ferrari, though this could be the overtake. Oh no, actually it's a leader passing through. That's Lucas Rode in first place, the car number 101 that just lapped Kritin, and will do the same on Zviagin in a short time. This puts, as it stands, only 12 cars, which, to be fair, is way more than the usual on the lead lap. And in a few seconds it will be 11 cars only on the lead lap. With 7 minutes to go, Ferrari is trying to use the cars well. He has to let another car pass by, but at the same time he doesn't have to lose time. He kind of manages to do so, although I think Zviagin lost some time by doing it in turn 2. Lap 101, and this is literally... Oh no, wait, there is another battle ongoing in GT4, but that's for 9th... No, that's for 8th place overall. Oh, 8th place in class, obviously. Not overall. But Marcel No could use the battle in front to his advantage. The team now finds itself in 14th. Although I'm speaking of team, but it's Marcel No alone. So all of them, Zviagin, Kritin and No, are solo driving, so they are equally tired, which is a bit of a difference compared to a two-people team where you can exchange yourself. You have some pros and some cons. The pro being that you are less tired, the con being that you have less familiarity with the track and the race car in changeable conditions. So you have to be careful about your decisions. Meanwhile, Zviagin goes wide into turn 2, and into turn 3 it's back in single file. With Kritin that still follows very closely the car in front. Now into the outside of Sunset, slightly over the marbles maybe, but that's Kritin still trying to get the chance in front of Zviagin, and he couldn't dare into Sunset, and it gave a huge opportunity to Marcel No to put the car in 13th place, or maybe even better, since Zviagin's lap time is quite slow at the moment. 42.5 in the last lap, 41.7 for Kritin, 41.2, literally team's best lap, but rather No's best lap since the start of the race. being done in this very lap, 41.2. And it's ironically one of the best laps of the entire grid. Ironically, Kritin is one of the few that managed to make and to put together a better lap. And it's important, this thing, because if you consider the best lap only, Andrea Miatto only managed to put together a 41.4 and he is in 6th place. Or even worse. To be so good, he has a slower time than a slower best time than Anatol Kritin, and yet he's in 4th place. So being quick on a single lap is completely useless if you are not consistent with your lap times. And we just saw Marcel No going on inside. Oh, there is a pit maneuver and both cars are off into the gravel, and one of them is also into the barrier. What just happened there? That was a disaster for both drivers. Let's see again. So we've got Marcel No going on inside after Kritin went on the grass. But by going over the grass, he lost the rear end of the race car and threw the car number 113 into the barriers. Look at this again, this time on Kritin's point of view. He goes wide over the grass, loses the rear, and sends Marcel No into the barrier and himself into the gravel. As now Marcel No sits in 13th place. And that was not the way they would have wanted this race to end, but this is how it will end, as Tom Winch is meters behind Aki Raunio. At the same time... Oh no, never mind. Actually, I think the leader will be able to set another lap after this one. So that's a Ginetta driver, Tom Winch. Onto the inside he goes and sets the car perfectly with an overtake into the crocodiles. And that's also because Raunio goes into the pits. Oh no, Raunio into the pits. So possibly underfueled the car. That's why he gave up the position so rapidly. And he was in 8th in class, out of the pits. He lost the position on Winch, and maybe he will lose the position on the Sobre Roca too. Apparently will not. Oh yeah, he will. Not only on Sobre Roca, but even on Santos. Both cars overtook him. So, as it stands, he only stands in front of Dennis Noble. It's a 103, yellow flags showing. Oh, wait. Oh no! Oh no, he short fueled! Matthew Hughes into the pits! Matthew Hughes into the pits! And, worst of it all, we lost the 401. The 401 is not in the race anymore, so we also lost the leader, Creme de la Course. So everything is going very, very bad, very, very quick for everyone. Benjamin Voigt, here, the engine, he doesn't have enough fuel to end the race. He's trying his best to complete the race. It's not over till it's over, but it's literal. Voigt trying to do whatever is possible. Hughes now out of the pits, but he will keep the lead after Creme de la Course is not in the race anymore. Sven Freitag barely following, or apologies, barely behind Andrea Miatto. So easy 2 on short fuel. I think he might. Benjamin Voigt, yellow flag showing. He's trying whatever it's possible to finish the race. Lucas Rode will probably win the race without too much trouble. So yes, I can hear the engine being healthy. So Lucas Rode, after being in 44th with his teammate, with Sebastian Denner driving the car from 34th to 1st to win the 4th endurance round at Kyalami, in front of the Bentley team, Firefly Racing, Sasha Glatter and Manuel Wagner, and the sister team, the CMRC Endurance 104, started on pole with Dominic Cypress and Kevin Brown driving the car. Tobias Hogg will complete the race in 4th place, with Mattia Mex in 5th, Andrea Miatto in 6th. But it's close. Maybe Freitag can still make it somehow. I don't think so. He will remain behind at the very end of the race. It will be Miatto in front of Freitag. And then Matthew Hughes wins for Apex Racing in front of James Julians in the Kalala Racing and Sasha Whiting in the Calit Racing team. What happened to Creme de la Course in the Camaro? As Matthew Hughes wins the race, James Julians crosses the line and Sasha Whiting 3rd place for Calit Racing team, with Tobias Langeberg alongside, and the 103 that slowly, very slowly, in the gear somehow manages to complete the race at least in 10th place. They haven't had a good race for the entirety of the 3 hours. They were in struggle, not for their fault. They had 2 incidents. They are now short-fueled. They had a drive-through. They could have been in 5th, even 4th, but they will end the race only 10th, unfortunately. And so Pascal Giraud and Benjamin Voigt finished the race in 10th place. But oh, there was a 60-second penalty applied to Hughes. Why was that? Oh no, I may know why. I think that's that has to be a drive-through. So it's actually, apologies, it's actually James Julians winning the race. Incredible thing here. So it was James Julians winning the race, the 403, with Tobias Langeberg and Sasha Whiting in 2nd, and Matthew Hughes in 3rd place. Disaster for the leading team in GT4, but I'm quite confused about what happened to Hoffman. So did he disconnect? Let's have a quick look. This is Hoffman, but this is not Hoffman. So something happened between the 2 moments. Was it a disconnection? So he was leading the race, and then he wasn't in the race anymore. So yes, it was a disconnection, unfortunately. Yeah, here he's already gone. So it is a disconnection, unfortunately. For Hoffman, he was winning the race in GT4. And a 60-second penalty. Suppose that's for either a stint timer or track limit. But in any case, results. Let's get the results in front of us. This was the Kyalami round. with MRC Endurance 101 winning the race, although it says they were in second on the grid. Yes, they were, but they effectively started the race in last overall in 44th. MRC Endurance by Barminia won the race in front of Firefly Racing, Bentley 107 and the sister team in the 104, Carbon Motorsport in 4th and Alpha Racing Team in 5th place. Then Tatum, Speed Racing, Speed Strats, CMRC Pro IM Team by Barminia, Freelancer, Inflix Racing, Pepega Motorsport, Colorworks Racing Team, Team 42. I didn't pick up, it was in 15th. Apologies. It was, I think, another Carbon Motorsport. Yes, it was another Carbon Motorsport. You can see 10 cars only managed to complete the race on the lead lap out of 21, as ACC had a fatal error, as always. And 16th, it was GT3 Pro Brothers, Luyaga in 17th, LK Motorsport, Desmo Racing retired, with Staten Motorsport and Inflix Racing following their retirement. In GT4, slightly different scenario, as it was less cars. Canada Racing somehow won the race in front of Calit Racing Team and Apex Predator Racing Team after a penalty in 3rd place. Calit Racing Team 413 in 4th, Tix Racing in 5th, Dragon Racing Team in 6th, Apex Predator Racing Team in 7th, Lynx Racing Spain Team in 8th with Pipoca, Akibua Racing, Bushels Racing Team, Creme de la Course and Sunset Outrun being the only retirement in the GT4 field. In the standings, this is the GT4 overall, with Cali Racing Team still leading in front of 4th Club, Sunset Outrun in 3rd, Apex Predator Racing Team in 4th, and Bushels Racing Team in 5th place. Situation in GT3 doesn't start from the top. The situation in GT3, CMRC Endurance by Barminia still leading comfortably with 3,200 points. We play in 2nd, Leaf 4 Race in 3rd, Bora Motorsport Racing in 4th, and Hoplite Esports Team. All 4 teams which weren't present in tonight's round. In any case, I was Cristiano Romano. This is the calendar for the remainder of the season. It was a wonderful race, in my opinion, here in Kyalami. Next endurance round is going to be in Misano, but the next live is going to be on Thursday for Barcelona in the Keskindo D Pro Series. I was Cristiano Romano. This was the ACC Drive Endurance round number 4, and for tonight this is all. I hope you had a wonderful evening, and so good evening, good night, wherever you are in the world, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!